So this is my base. I wanted to make it fretless because it wasn't hard enough and I'm just too good at it. So this is how you take frets out. It's really exciting. It's really hard. You have to be a real expert to do this. I'm using a little bit of solder. This isn't my trick, this is everybody's trick. A little bit of solder. When you put a little bit of solder on, it conducts the heat really well. I might not have gotten that one hot enough. Let's see. Yeah, that one's sticking a little bit, so we're not going to force it. Normally just needs a couple seconds, depends on how much glue is in there. I like to use a pretty big tip on the soldering iron. Yep. That's, focus. Probably not. It's a huge tip. Transfers a lot of heat. And if you really want to check, you just touch it. Oh, it's hot. Well, let's try it again. See if we got enough. If this was a appliance instrument, I'd be a little bit more worried about accidentally torching the board or leaving some marks, but I'm actually going to be re-radiusing this board. It's like a vintage radius right now, which is nice. This isn't what you want. This is ugly. This means that this part wasn't heated up enough and it stuck, and so that's why it bent. It doesn't actually matter, but it looks sloppy. I look like an idiot. I'm just going to take another one out right here. I'm going to put a lot of heat on. This is a pretty tight radius on this board and the really tiny vintage frets. I don't like that for fretless. Some people do. Some people like sort of like the violin style, really tight radius. But I think it's easier to play, especially fretless stuff, if the board is pretty close to flat. I have a 10-inch radius sanding block that my neighbor Mark printed for me on his 3D printer. Maybe I'll take a video of that, and that's I'm going to use that to flatten this radius a little bit once they're all out. With most refrets, oh, there we go, that one's coming nice. With most refrets, you are just going to clean out the slot and put new frets in. Little ones, whatever you like. But with an electric base, or anything I guess that you want to do fretless, you don't put any frets in. That's the secret. That's the secret of a fretless instrument, is it doesn't have any frets. And so instead you've got to find something to fill these little gaps. Some people like to use epoxy. You just pour some epoxy in. I hate working with epoxy. It's really messy and it stinks. It's not that fun. In the past I've used little sheets of veneer. Yeah. Little tiny bit of veneer in the past. For this one I've got some white ABS acrylic sheet. I'm just going to cut little slices of that, and so the end result is I'll have little white plastic fret lines. Because I'm bad at this instrument, and taking the frets off will probably make me worse at it. I'm just going to do one more on camera because I keep on talking about other stuff. You'll notice that with these really tiny fret wire and the binding, I am at times having a little bit of a hard time getting under the edge of it. Kind of case by case. doesn't really matter. But the easiest way to get the fret out, once you've heated up the slot, sort of gotten the glue out of there. This doesn't have a lot of glue, this one. I can't smell anything. You can't smell anything because it's a camera, but I'm here and I don't smell anything. I try to get under the edge with the nippers, just under the corner, and get that out of that slot. And once you're in, you just sort of sneak the tool a little bit across. Just squeeze a couple millimeters, squeeze a couple millimeters, squeeze. And then when you get to the base side of the neck, closer to you, just kind of comes out. So again, this is, you can see there's a little bit of glue, a little even tiny bits of solder that are chipping on there. That's something that I'm normally gonna work a little harder to avoid. Never done it with a camera before. But again, because with this base, I'm gonna be re-radiusing the entire fretboard, which means I'm basically gonna sand a whole layer off of it before I clean out the slots and before I add the little acrylic lines to fill the gaps. So I'm gonna be doing a bunch of work to the surface of the wood here. So I'm not really overly concerned about the state of the surface of the wood, or even, I mean, if you see along the edge, there's a little bit of an impression in the binding where the frets were installed. It looks like they're kind of pushed down into it a little bit. It might not have been all the way flush when they were installed yet. And, you know, that doesn't bother me because a couple microns thickness of that is going to go away when I'm done. So I'm just going to sand that all flush on this one. It's not something you always do with a refret. Most of the time you're keeping the same radius and not avoiding doing any work on the fretboard. But in this case, the nature of the job means that there's going to be a lot of work done on the fretboard. This one has a lot more glue in it. It's one of the things that you can't really tell unless you're right there. The main thing is that it smells like glue. This neck was $60, so I'm not too precious about it. $60 on eBay. Just needed something for this instrument, and I ended up liking it a lot, and I stuck with it. And now it's gonna be my weird little fretless buddy, and I'm never gonna play in tune again. All right, thanks everybody. I'm gonna do the rest of these.